definitely do think KO is coming in heavy hitters as an adult, part of an application process to become a creative writer at LSS.
Hi, all, and welcome to another episode of the WINANDIN podcast. This is episode 44. I'm your host, Eric Darenheim. Joined with me, co-host Gabe, and our special guest, Kale, better known as DeadSummer. You might have seen him from his gorgeous art presentations on YouTube videos. How you doing, Kale?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. I'm coming off of a high of winning my locals today, so
Let's go.
yeah, let's go. Royal Viceroy for the win. So I don't know, it was pretty disgusting
cool.
deck. So
Hell
yeah, doing pretty good.
Well, cool. I appreciate you being on here. That's awesome. Yeah, we got some flesh and blood to talk about. So shall we get into it?
Hell yeah, let's go.
Of course.
All right. Cool. I guess I should ask you before we even start, Gabe, how are you doing? I'm sorry.
You know, I'm doing great. It's a beautiful morning out here. So I can't complain. You know, we got that beautiful time difference, which is always fun. I think it's like Christmas. You know, you wake up early for something exciting.
Yeah.
This is the exciting thing of the morning.
Like
so I'll ask you the same, Eric, but I'm sure I know the answer. We're just waking up, hanging out. You doing good?
We're hanging out with the boys.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. All right. Well, cool. Well, we got some big flesh and blood news. We are losing two heroes to LL, one in each format this day. So first, let's talk about skirmish. Skirmish season is underway. It is going on to week 2 of the skirmish season. The first week, I was able to win one skirmish with Chain. And little did I know that was
fault,
the exact win needed to LL Chain. I was the one. I don't care what anyone else says. I was number 25. I was the one that did it. You can throw your hate at me or you can throw your love at me. Either way. But yeah, no, Chain has LL this week with exactly 500 points.
That's wild.
Yikes. I saw Frankie's thing about it, his little memorial.
Yeah.
It made my heart hurt a little.
Yeah.
We know Frankie was a Chain player.
That's true. That is true. Yeah, a lot of people were like, hey, LSS, can we play Chain this week? Is what's going on? Because this is the first time we actually see the LL system, the new system, where it will update every week in motion. And yeah, so it's a little scary when you're going into it with a hero that's so close. And you're like, okay, can I still play this, or is it over? You know, what's going on?
Squeak a win.
How about you, Kale? Did you play any skirmishes, or do you have any skirmishes coming up?
No, unfortunately not. So because I live in like the middle of nowhere, basically in Western Australia, our local community is like really small. We've only got pretty much, including myself, there's like 4 people that consistently play. So we did used to get skirmishes back in the day. We got season 1 and 2, and then after that we just stopped getting them anymore. So if I want to actually play in a skirmish, I have to drive 5 hours, which is not quite viable. But yeah, I really do miss. Yeah, I really do miss skirmish because it was just like a good excuse to like really try hard but like have fun at the same time, and there was like cool prizes all the time. So every time I see that there's a new skirmish season coming out, I'm just sad because I know I'm probably not going to get one again. Not local anyway, so but it is what it is,
you know. I find that happens not that happens, but like a lot of content creators that we've talked to, including Gabe. Well, Gabe's you own a store and you promote it, and so it's been working out. But you're kind of in the middle of nowhere, which is insane that you're able to get the attendance you get. But a lot of people are kind of isolated. But so I'm guessing this is a trend I'm seeing. If you can't play like Fab at your local scene, make some Fab content. That's kind of how I've been seeing it. Which is cool. I love it.
What about you, Eric? Did you have another skirmish this weekend? I'm sorry, we didn't even ask you that.
No. I had my local scene here just double shot on that weekend. It was Saturday, Sunday, and then no more skirmishes. So we just you know,
And you didn't drive anywhere to go win more? If you want 2 of them, you need to get your third technical.
I didn't win two. I do have 2 technical cores, and it's annoying because now it's like I would have been happy
You
with
need third.
one. Now I'm like, okay, now I got to get my third because like you can't just have 2 out of 3. But yeah, we had one that was like sealed, and I got second in that one. Lost to our friend Stackswell in the finals for that one, and then was able to get their chain on the second one. But yeah, that's it. That's it for the skirmish season on my end. But we have still 2 weeks for a lot of people. I know you had a skirmish at your store. Who got there, and what format was that?
So yeah, our skirmish was Blitz. It was actually a lot of fun. You know, we had a lot of Reinars, which I was so stoked for because those games are always so much fun to watch. But Preston got there with Kasai. You could also know him as like King's Table or so on. He got there with Kasai. It was awesome. He beat a Phi out in the finals. I can't say anything more notable from the week, minus just, you know, a lot of Reinars. Kasai won it. A lot of hype, a lot of fun. I think it was 12 people or so.
Okay, cool.
Nice,
yeah,
good turnout.
So we got, it's a great turnout, especially from like just the middle of the mountains. But yeah, so some of the other news with this skirmish is now you kind of have to really look at the points, because if you're a Kasai player, Kasai had the most points gained. She wasn't the closest to Living Legend. That was definitely Chain and Kano. But now it's, if she continues the points that she earned in the first week, if she continues that forward, she will LL as well. And in fact, if it continues in the exact same way, which it won't, but if it did, Kano would still not LL. He would be like 2 points shy or something. So there's a possibility that Kano stays and Kasai goes, which is totally bizarro world for me. I was for sure that Chain and Kano were going to go. But that's probably still going to happen. But now it's probably also Kasai has a very good chance. So it's really cool. I like this new system in place right now. It's kind of fun. Just like saying, okay, I can't play this deck anymore. But now it opens up other decks, right? Because now if Kano leaves, he will be the second wizard to LL. And now the only other wizard is Emperor. And, you know.
That'd be weird.
Yeah, it's something that's could be out there now. So we're experiencing a whole new meta shift, and I'm here for it. I'm loving it. What heroes would you play if you had a skirmish this weekend, Kel? If it was Blitz.
Well, I wouldn't be able to play Viserai, which is kind of my go-to try hard.
That's true. That's true.
Geez, I don't know. I don't tend to play Blitz too much, just because our locals don't play it too much.
Okay.
I have dabbled with Data Doll before in Blitz, but that was before Bright Lights.
Better.
Yeah. She was really fun, and I actually was able to pull out some wins in Blitz with her. So like, maybe Data Doll, or like maybe I could rebuild a Benji deck. Yeah, probably one of those two. I don't know. I like playing the more off-meta decks. I don't like just following the crowd. I like to try do my own thing, and
20
it just
health,
makes it
4 intelligence. That's too basic.
Too basic. Yeah, exactly. I have to handicap myself. Yeah, I don't know. It's just more sweeter when you can win with your own deck that you came up with, rather than just, you know, net deck. Which, nothing wrong with net decking if you really want to win, but you know, I'm all about the I'm the Johnny player, if you will, using card game turns. I like combos. So yeah, maybe one of those two heroes.
No, I think, first off, I think Datadol is a ton of fun. We had Capallo on the pod, and he took Datadol for his skirmish, and we were all excited for that. So I'm with you. I wouldn't have played Chain had I not found this Chain set deck that's like a Chain Dinset deck, and boy was that deck fun. So I was like, yeah, no, this is the deck. Like, is it net decking? Yeah. But is it fun? Yeah. All right, well, that is the skirmish news. I guess we're gonna have to just because of the LL system now, we'll just be like a weekly update basically until skirmish season is over. Checking in on these heroes. Let's talk about the other hero that LL'd. Another sad loss for me. Not only did I lose like my boy Oldham before, but now I'm losing another hero of mine, Icelander, today, because there's a battle harden. So let's get into that. What was the where was the battle harden actually?
Belgium, Wallawani.
Yeah,
I got
I
pulled
remember it
up
was
to
like
actually know what it's called.
W name. Okay, but it was in Belgium. Okay, cool.
I'm pretty sure Belgium. I'll have to double check myself now, of course.
Okay.
Speak.
Let's see. I think I can name
Oh man,
this Icelander player. I'm pretty bad at names, but I think I got this one. Kevin Zanker. I don't know. There's like 2 dots above the
that sounds
A's.
right.
I don't know if that's supposed to, sound like something else. I don't know. But Kevin Zanker with Icelander beat Albert Guyot on Dromai in the finals, giving Icelander the last points she needs to LL, which means as of next Monday, she will be no longer eligible to play in CC.
Yeah, no, it was. I think one of the funnest parts about this and her LLing was so. I don't know if there was an actual like live stream of the gameplay or anything. I didn't find one myself, but the judge that was judging the event, he kept doing all these live updates on Twitter, and everybody was always reacting and commenting like, fingers crossed, hoping Icelander gets or doesn't get it. Sebastian Benarski, he was the one talking all about it, and like his Twitter was like blowing up yesterday in everyone's feed because it was so awesome, and he was just live updates, and I was stoked.
Well, they didn't stream it, right? So I think that was the only way you could know what was going on. Yeah. All right, let's talk about the top 8 a little bit here. We had 3 Icelanders in top 8. We see our infamous Vi again, as well as 2 Katsu. So Ninja's still holding up pretty strong. It is definitely the age of the Ninja. Our 1 Dromai, and then 1 Reinar. So a very, very interesting top 8. Ninja and Wizard was the dominant factor here, but we love to see our Reinar in there. But Albert, credit to him, on Dromai beat Reinar. That's pretty impressive. So you gotta have some respect there. It was a very well. Well, actually, I guess we don't know. We don't know if it was a good game.
Yeah, we didn't see it.
We're assuming it's a good game. But I got a little conspiracy theory here. I was talking to some of my locals, and it wasn't streamed, so this Dromai just might have through to LL Icelander.
The people's champion.
Yeah, they won the playmat.
Oh man.
I'm sure that's not the case, but Kel, what's your hero choice for CC?
Viscerai.
Okay.
I just love
Viscerai.
Viscerai.
I love it.
Yeah. I mean, I've dabbled here and there with other heroes. Like when Dusk Till Dawn came out, I started playing Vincent. And that's fun. I like playing like a weird sort of control-y, tanky Vincent, which is very kind of janky, but it's actually pretty decent. And I did play Arachne for a little bit as well, playing like a control contract build. But I've just recently kind of like sold out of that a little bit, so I don't have that deck anymore. But yeah, I've stuck with Viscerai since Arcane Rising, and sort of the deck I've used for him has changed over time. It started off with just mid-range, and then when Crucible came out, I switched to like a very aggressive build, and then now it's kind of tilted back to like a mid-rangey type build. But yeah, I feel like I'm definitely the most solid on Viscerai, and I know most of the sort of play patterns, so I've gotten pretty good with him. So yeah.
Oh yeah. If you were playing him since the beginning, there's no way. There's no way you're going anywhere else. That's cool. That's awesome, because a lot of people would say like Viscerai kind of got a soft ban, with the sword leaving, but true Viscerai, stay on.
Yeah. I don't think it was that big of a sort of like a downside to that Rosetta Thorn being, taken out through LL. At least the way I play Viscerai, I didn't rely much on Rosetta or my weapon in general. It was just kind of there to
Okay.
help finish off certain turns, and like obviously having 2 arcane damage in one hit is good to help finish off the game. But if you're playing like Vexing Malice, that kind of does similar thing anyway. And I
Right.
was running Reaping Blade before Rosetta Thorn just because it's a very efficient weapon. You know,
Definitely.
swing
One
for
for
3
three.
for 1, which is pretty
Yeah.
good. So yeah, I haven't noticed that much of a change really. Like it's just like maybe a 1% downgrade in power in my deck, maybe. So
Okay.
yeah,
Okay. Cool.
but I can see how a lot of people were like really relying on that as part of
Yeah.
their game plan. So
I think for me personally, who's not a Viscerai main, I I don't know what main I am anymore. I just lost my hero. So I just like I just look at
you're
heroes.
homeless.
I'm homeless right now. And yeah, I just look at it like on the paper. It's like, oh, okay, well, Viscerai doesn't have this, so that must mean like Viscerai's just not in a good spot right now. But as you're saying, and that's what's like one of my favorite things about this game. I repeat this every time, but like it's really not about just like what's on paper. You could be on the same hero since day one and still do very well, even at like a major tournament, because it's not so much like your list, it's more of like how you're able to pilot that hero, which makes you connected to a hero in this game. So my heart's ripped out right now. No, no, but that's cool. I might give Viscera a go. I really like Runic Reckoning as a card. And I'm guessing, do you play that card?
No, actually, I don't.
No, damn it.
Look, don't take my list as gospel. I mean, I could definitely send you my list, but
Okay.
yeah, because that's the one that's it's a 1-cost non-attack that gives your next attack +3, but it costs 1 less if you have a rune chant.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe it's just because of the way I play my Viscerai. I will oftentimes.
I mean, you probably know more
like-
than I do, so.
I oftentimes end my turn with no rune chants. Like
Okay.
it's maybe a 50-50. Sometimes I'll swing with the weapon and you don't get a rune chant, obviously, after swinging it.
Right.
So I feel like sometimes that card might be a bit of a dead card in my hand because I don't want to have to pay for it. If you don't have to pay for it, that's where it becomes good. But
Right.
typically the non-attack actions I'll play would be like Morvrian Skies, or like Sonata, or gee, what else do I run? I can't even remember, and I played today. So yeah, I don't think it's a bad card. I think maybe just in my particular play style, it doesn't quite meld with how I want to play, but it's definitely a decent card. So
all right. Yeah, I mean, I'm on the prowl.
Okay, but what if
Go for it.
I gotta jump in on this
Yeah.
one? What about the tome?
the Tome
What do
of
we
the
think of
Arknight.
that card? Yeah, is that the one I'm thinking of? The gamble one.
Gabe
That's
here's
my
a very
favorite card.
greedy
It's so
player.
I'm a greedy Briar player.
No, I don't play that either. I have considered it for sure. I
bummer.
did used to play it back in like Arcane Rising days, but you didn't have much of an option as to what to play.
Mhm.
So you kind of just jammed in all your super rares and majestics. But I do play Gorganian Tome. That card is really good.
Okay,
Unless
that
you
makes
get
sense.
it turn 1, it sucks turn 1.
Yeah, I guess
You know,
that's fair, yeah.
oftentimes you don't want to like go all out if you're going first on turn 1. And if you get Gorganian Tome, you can't pitch it. So either you play it or you leave it in your hand in Arsenal. So, but yeah, Tome, I don't know. I just feel like if you're not manipulating the top of your deck with some opt cards, it's not that reliable. I mean, it's already hard enough trying to get Sonata to line up. I did actually whiff today on a Sonata. All 3 cards were non-attacks, I think, which sucks. But yeah, I think you'd have to build around if you want to play Tome of the Arknight, personally. So.
Makes sense.
That's valid.
Makes
But no, if you can get it to work, it's good when you get to draw those cards.
It's the nuts, bro.
Yeah.
One for two.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice. So, what about you, Eric? Your ice is gone.
Ice is gone,
Like,
so
I'm not getting frostbites anymore.
on the
I'm not playing any
prowl now.
blues in my decks anymore.
I know.
Like I have no intentions of blue anymore.
Yeah, I really, and then like the thing is like it doesn't look like the next set is gonna have any sort of control deck coming out. Like I don't
mean,
think we're gonna
maybe
get a
the
control
Guardian.
brew. We might get a control guardian, but like I don't know if it's going to be a tall order to replace that Guardian for me.
Hmm.
So we'll see. I don't think I'm going to playing Control. There is that like Tree Frog Dash that um
Yeah.
yeah
Or Ninja Turtles.
yeah
Ninja
or
Turtles.
Ninja Turtles, but like I don't know. I could I obviously I could play aggressive decks.
Arachne.
Well,
Yeah, yeah.
it might be time because now we got
I
some new spoilers.
I kind of feel like maybe the new Kasai could lend herself to a bit of a control strategy where you just build up a bunch of
Ooh,
gold and then raise an army.
right.
Um,
Just have
but
that big turn.
yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah,
No, yeah, you might be onto
I can
something
see
there.
it.
I actually didn't think about Kasai play or Kasai as a control deck. That might be legit. I might have to like look into
I
that
mean, you
too.
got the fridge of equipment to the moon.
Yeah,
yeah.
that's for
Like you can
sure.
rock for days
Swing your
with
That's for
that.
sure.
swords, get your Valiant Dynamos. Yeah,
Yeah, easy.
I just like turning decks that are not control decks into control decks. That's kind of my jam. I don't know.
Hell yeah.
So
Hell yeah. Gabe, you mentioned Arachne. Arachne is kind of a control deck, so this might actually be a direction I might go. I do like our guy Arachne here. Let's talk about some of the spoilers we got, shall we? Let me get
I
that
think we shall.
pulled up here. Okay, yeah. So we have gotten two Arachne spoilers. We've also gotten, a lot of people super excited about their spoiler cards that they're like leaking a little bit of information. There's going to be a legendary
Hmm.
Azalea specialization. Seems like there was a Kano one too, unless that was a troll. I can't figure it out. It's Riddler Man, so you never really know. But I'm pretty sure he's not trolling. um, but we did get an Arachne specialization. We know the full card. It is Coercive Tendencies. Arachne specialization costs 0, pitches for 3, blocks 3, is attack reaction. Look at the top 3 cards of the defending hero's deck, put them back in any order, then manage top card of their deck. If you complete a contract this way, your assassin's attacks get go again this combat chain. So you do the attack reaction, especially if you know you're going to hit. Like obviously, if you know you're going to hit, and then you are basically ensuring that you're going to fulfill the contract, as well as you're banishing and doing the contract itself with this card. So you're like just setting yourself up for 2 silvers minimum. But then your attack
Hmm.
has go again, so here comes the next assassin attack. So this card is actually super gas for Arachne. Very, very excited for it. We were talking a little bit beforehand. I know you're excited over there, Kale. Like, yeah, is this potentially, allowing you to bring back Arachne? I know you sold your deck, but, you know, maybe is there a little seller's remorse now? I don't know.
a little bit. So yeah, essentially with my Arachne deck, I didn't quite sell it. What happened was a mate of mine, he had a bunch of assassin cards, and I was like, I want to play
Okay.
assassin. And then he's like, here, take these cards. And I'm like, oh, I don't have the money. He's like, oh, I just take them. And I was like, well, that feels a bit odd. I don't want to just take cards from you. So eventually he was like, the other week, he's like, oh, I want to play assassin again. I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of, I'm cool to give you back the cards. It doesn't bother me. And I didn't really buy them off you, so it's only fair. And then now I've done
Yeah.
that. I'm just like, damn, maybe I should have saved up some money and actually paid him for them. But yeah, this card is bonkers. Just at the very least, the way I play Arachne, when you look at Arachne compared to like Uzuri, the reason why you'd play Arachne over Uzuri is for the hero ability. So you really want to be leveraging the use of contracts and leveraging the use of your silver to bring back equipment that you block with, and then use its effect, buy it back.
Oh yeah.
So I felt it was a good match in terms of playstyle to really try and like tank up with Arachne, pitch stack away your really good attacks and attack actions, block some stuff out, get some silvers where you can, use your equipment, and then end game after you've sort of picked apart their game plan and taken away their combo pieces from their deck. That's when you start hitting them with the really good contract cards like Eradicate, with like Cut to the Chasers on top or Shreds on top, and
Oh
just
yeah.
really start to like pull them apart piece by piece. And this card's just like helps you in every aspect, whether it's early game, mid game, or late game for Arachne. This is bonkers. Like a blue 0/3 block, it could have no other text and probably still be good, but it has more text. So, and go again's really hard to get in Assassin for the most part. Most of the time you're relying on like your black tech whisperers or, you know, even if you're running something like Captain's
Razor,
Call
maybe.
or like Razor if you want. There's not too many ways to get Go Again, but Go Again is really good in Assassin because you can complete your contracts multiple times. So yeah, this just does everything you could possibly want. So really good.
Payday is another card. Like it's a it's a card without Go Again, but like the reason why Payday was so hard to make work is because like you needed your attack to have Go Again in order for Payday to even make sense.
Exactly.
And here again, just allowing that to be the case, allowing silver to happen. I think you nailed on the head. Like the fact that this card is playable at any point in the game, I think is what makes it so great. But that's not it. We got another spoiler too. And this time it's a weapon. I bet everyone out there thought, okay, Assassin has so many weapons, they don't need another one. Well, you're wrong. We get another dagger, another one-handed dagger with the classic pay 2 attack, Go Again, piercing 1. But this one says, as an instant, you can destroy 2 silver to equip this with a +1 counter. Activate this ability while this is in your graveyard. So you can throw your dagger, rather with flick knives or hurl. And I don't know if I think that's about it, right?
I think they're the only 2 cards.
I think so.
Yeah. You could throw your dagger and then be fine with that because you're just going to grab it right back. Which, if you have flick knives, this could be something that just keeps recurring. You just keep throwing your dagger over and over again.
Concealed Blade, does that equip a dagger?
That it does also equip a dagger.
It. Yeah.
But it doesn't. It doesn't throw it.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah.
My bad. Wrong side of the spectrum.
Yeah. And yeah, you might not. I mean, Concealed Blade's kind of cool because it's like an attack reaction gets +1, but you would lose the opportunity to get your +1 counter if you did that. But
yeah,
I guess you could like you could start with 2 daggers of your choice, throw 1 Concealed Blade to bring Graven Call out, then throw that another turn, and I don't know. You can do some wacky stuff, but yeah.
Now we're just juggling daggers. I like that.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's not an Arachne deck anymore. It's just throw these daggers.
Yeah, it's Knife Juggler from Hearthstone.
Goes to the carnivals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but yeah, if you get this out of the grave, it becomes a 2 for 2 that has piercing 1 and Go Again, and it's not like above rate stats, but on a weapon, it's not terrible. You know, like if you have the resource to make it work, it's a great little call. You know, admittedly, less excited for this over the Arachne specialization here, but like. Still cool that Arachne or Assassin, I mean, Uzuri can play this card too, is getting some good new cards out of this heavy hitter set. So we are starting to get the expansion slot. So this is the first one we got. So I'm very excited for it. How about you, Gabe? What's your thoughts? Are you excited for Assassin now?
You know, I played Assassin when it first came out. I thought it was fun. I can't say I think if Dash.io wasn't in the format, I probably would be excited, but I'm really loving Dash. So I am not really worried about it. The thing that I do find exciting about this is the people are excited, and I know I have a great Market Monday coming up.
Oh yeah,
because these Assassin cards are going crazy right now.
Oh, that's cool.
Like Surgical Extraction is like $25.
Oh wow,
no.
Not again.
So it's going back to where it was, you know, Scary Land. I think I saw like an extended art Redback Shroud is almost 200 now. There's only a couple on the market.
Oh, yeah, that's crazy.
We saw what's that new one that came out? I was just looking at it when we were talking. Already Dead. So there's only a handful on the market. They're 30 plus. There's just a lot of Assassin cards going up, and I think the thing that I find not funniest, and maybe it's the weirdest, is if you're playing Assassin, these cards might be expensive. But then you got to buy your codexes, and those still haven't gone down even after Lexiel out there.
Yeah, Codex of Frailty is a really good card.
So if you're a played Assassin, you probably have to have deep pockets. So really love that hero.
It does make silver.
So that's what I find funny.
Pays for itself.
You know,
Yeah.
yes.
Oh, yeah.
That's my take on that.
Imagine just when you play a card game and like you get like actual money with the cards.
Yes.
Well,
exactly.
I think that's about it for the news of the week. I think that's kind of the weekly recap here. Let's get on to the more fun part of the podcast where we get to talk to our guests about their own channel, and this is where usually we take way too long because we have way too much fun. So let's get right to it. DeadSummer Art. I remember seeing this. I think it was actually a spoiler first caught me onto your channel. And then from there, it was not hard to watch the remainder of the videos that you have, which is quite a library, to be honest. So it was actually kind of nice because sometimes you go on and it's like, it's just, one or two videos before that. And you're like, okay, but this is like, it's like, oh, cool. I have stuff to watch like in between doing stuff. It's really fun. I would rather you give the elevator pitch tonight because this is your channel, your baby. Sell it to us.
Yeah. So when I was first sort of deciding what I wanted to do, I definitely wanted to focus on lore because I knew that I probably wasn't good enough to give advice on how to be a pro player. And just based on where I live, there's not that many events. So being a pro player doesn't quite work out for me. I didn't really want to talk about market. I don't know much about economics or anything. So I was like, what can I do? And I was like, well, I love storytelling. I'm a dungeon master for D&D. I just love lore and I really get into it. So why don't I do something like that? And I really wanted like a creative outlet. I've been sort of a hobbyist graphic designer and video editor for many, many years. And I was like, all right, let's see what I can do. So I really set out to try and make my channel almost like a Netflix library of lore. I wanted all of my videos to be evergreen. Yeah. I wanted all my videos to be evergreen, not just one and done. Not that those videos are bad or anything, but I really wanted people to be able to go back through my catalog like what you did and just sort of enjoy pieces that I've made and they're still relevant, for many, many years to come. So yeah, that's basically what I did. And I tried to do something a bit different. And, I was, at least to my knowledge, I was the first person to make lore content for Flesh and Blood. And I'm currently one of only a couple that make lore content. I'm trying to think off the top of my head how many people do it, but there have been some that have made lore and they've sort of come and gone. Like, Trip from Push the Point, he used to do a lot of lore videos. He hasn't done that for a while. Paranine, who did really great narration videos, he sort of stopped that.
That's the one I remember.
Yeah, it's because of personal life stuff and wanting to start a family and whatnot. So I've kind of just been the only one around doing it for the most part. Yeah, but I love it anytime I see lore channels pop up. I think I saw one that was narrated fully in Spanish somewhat recently, which is really cool. So there's like a Spanish lore guy now, which is pretty sick. But yeah, I just
man, those guys are going crazy out there. I love it.
But I just try to make really artsy stuff that people haven't seen before, and I like to try push the envelope sometimes. And I don't want to try and claim it too much, but I feel like I've really influenced a lot of like modern spoiler video formats and the way that people present their spoiler videos. Because back when I started, it was like January 2020. So only one set had come out at that point. And there weren't really people getting spoiler cards until Arcane Rising came out and Crucible of War. So most people doing spoiler videos were just like, hey, check out this card. It's cool. Here's what I think it can do. And then there's me telling this like story about the lore behind the card. My first spoiler card was Nebula Blade, which was really sick. So I got a bunch of lore on that. And I don't know. And then after that, I saw a lot of people being like, whoa, these videos are amazing. And then I'd seen them sort of taking a similar style and running with it. And I'm like, oh, now I've got competition on my hands. I need to step my game up, Steel sharpens steel, I love the I love the pushing that everyone in the community does to make themselves better and make better content. So yeah, that's basically my
Yeah.
channel in a nutshell. So I'd like to make more videos than what I currently do, but you know, life gets in the way and other responsibilities, but I'm
Yeah,
trying.
definitely. Yeah. No, I think that was perfect. Yeah, I think one of the things is that yeah, the graphic designer part comes out in these videos. That's for sure. Yeah, these videos, like, I love lore videos. In fact, I would love there to be like some sort of, like, I would love a novel of like Flesh and Blood lore. I would love that. But we don't have that. So we
Not
got
yet.
your videos. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, not yet. Oh god, the day. And I love these videos because, like I said, the graphic design part comes out. It looks really pleasant on the eyes. It is a very also, like, the narration presentation is great on it.
Thank you.
It's very easy to listen to, very easy to watch. And that's why I watched. I don't think I actually watched all of them. I watched basically all of them in one day because it was just kind of I said, like, hey, you can do this in between stuff, but like I just kind of just kept going. But it's very, very cool. Much props to that. And yeah, I do think your content has influence. Our last spoiler, it was a little bit influenced by you. We didn't get so much into the lore of it, but we definitely are like, hey, let's
Let's
use,
made
like,
up our own.
let's use art for this spoiler. That worked. That was pretty cool in the last one. And I like it. Anyone who gets this spoiler is awesome, and like, I'm not like ripping it. Like, if you just, like, like, post a Twitter post like, hey, here's my card, check it out. That's cool. But when you see the spoiler videos, like your spoiler videos, where it's like, oh, there's like this narration of the story. It's like just it's a video. It's not necessarily a spoiler video at that point. It's just like a video, and I'm excited to watch those. So I like seeing that more and more into the spoiler video world, and just in general as well.
I got a question while we're on the spoiler train because it's on
Sure.
my docket of things to ask. When do they give you a spoiler card? Do they also like give you lore for said card, like you said with Nebula Blade? Because that was very in depth video talking about from the Arcanite shard to everything. How does that come about?
Yeah, so not for all my cards have I received lore. I'd probably say maybe half of them I haven't received anything. It's been something I've talked to LSS about for a while. And I will admit I did get a little bit frustrated for one of my spoiler videos. It was for Oasis Respite. Because when I got given that card for Uprising, I got absolutely no lore, and I didn't even get the full artwork. I just had the card. And for a channel that's not talking about competitiveness of cards or strategy, I was just like, what do I do with this? And I still feel bad. I vented my frustrations to Chris Bewley, who was the content manager at the time, and he was like, look, man, I totally understand. Unfortunately, this is all I can do, but I really believe that you have the skills to sort of make something from it. And it wasn't the greatest thing I made, but a lot of people loved it. It ended up like being almost one of my most viewed videos at the time. So ever since then, I was like, okay, I think I've got enough skill that if I'm given pretty much nothing, I can still make something of it. But yeah, so some of the cards I have been given lore for. So I was given lore for Nebula Blade, Sutcliffe's research notes, Lord Sutcliffe, the mentor card. I got a bunch of stuff for that. That's probably the one that I got the most lore for, tied with maybe Nebula Blade.
Makes sense.
And then, what else? For Outsiders, for Codex of Inertia, I got some lore on like the diseases of the pits. Alex sent through a bunch of stuff, and he even gave me a direction for the video. He's like, "Oh, I'd love if you talked about the origins of the diseases." Yeah, so that's
like
kind of the main stuff.
Would have a lot of lore.
Yeah, for that one, I didn't
really
have
sweet.
to ask. I already knew the story, so I was like, I'll just go back and read the story and sort of retell it in a music video. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But not all the time. I do kind of beg them to send me something, and I'll ask them questions here and there. Like what was the last card I spoiled? Slay. I did ask for lore, and they were like, I've got nothing. Like Alex came back and he's like, I'm sorry, man. I've been trying. I'm like, it's all right. Like, I don't even know what angel that is that's dead, if it's canonical or anything. And, you know, the Annals of Sutcliffe book, I'm like, is that Sutcliffe in the cover? And he's like, I tried talking to creatives and they wouldn't tell me anything. And I was like, all right. So, but yeah, no, I'm really thankful for what they do. Because, I mean, realistically, they don't even have to give me a spoiler card. And if they do send me one, they could just be like, here's the card. Like, you know, they're not obligated to do anything, but I'm very thankful when they do. And it's kind of helped push me creatively to kind of make something out of almost nothing. You know, that's when a lot of people will say that the creative spirit flourishes the most is when you have limitations, not freedom. So yeah, it's always fun seeing what I can try come up with. That's entertaining for people. So
definitely. No, that's cool.
No, that is sweet. That answered that perfectly. Do they send it in just like a Google Docs, like a PDF, like, or do they just like, you know, a paragraph or two, just kind of like summarize it? Or is it, like,
it varies depending on what the card is and like whatnot. So like the Nebula Blade, I was sent like, I think 2-page PDF of like the story of the Nebula Blade and like a few sketches of the blade.
That is cool.
And whatnot too. For Outsiders with the
Above and
Diseases.
beyond.
Yeah. For Outsiders with the Diseases, Alex sent me through a couple of short paragraphs on each disease and like who Dr. Mortimer was and whatnot. And then yeah, sometimes they're just like, this is a thing, and that's it, you know. So
Totally.
yeah, you know, just try and make what I can of it. So
no, it's perfect. And then I think another thing, a huge factor that you have to use as your repertoire for like things to go about is the lore book. I'm guessing that has to influence a lot of the videos and any of these videos. Like, how useful is it, I guess would be the word.
Yeah,
it was like the whole bread and butter.
It was pretty much the main thing I used when I first started my channel. So back when I started, there was very little lore for Flesh and Blood. Like, you would go on the website and there'd be like kind of a cut down version of the story of the Welcome to Wraith heroes from the lore book version. And that was it pretty much. So anything I found out about the regions and whatnot, I kind of had to look in the lore book. So because the store that I worked at, it was an LGS. Unfortunately, it shut down at the start of this year. We were like one of the early adopters of Flesh and Blood. We got it in day one, mostly because I begged my boss.
Cool.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, we did get given like an early adopter like kit, which came with a lore book. So I was like borrowing that for my work and just like reading it.
Totally.
And then eventually after my first like couple videos, James White reached out to me and he's like, hey, do you have a lore book? And I was like, oh, I'm just using one for my work. And he goes, oh, I'll send you one. So if you actually look in the background, I've got one right there.
Yeah.
So direct from James White. I'm very thankful he sent that.
Yeah.
So one of my most prized possessions.
That's
but
cool.
yeah, in the early days, it was much more important than what it is now. But like there's still things in there that I will still look up. Like just recently, I was writing a short story. This was actually part of an application process to become a creative writer at LSS. I actually went through a couple stages and made it pretty far in. And one of the things was to write a short story. So I wrote one about the alchemist Lena Bell, which hopefully she gets a hero card. But like I was looking through like, oh, what ingredients would an alchemist in the World of Wraith use? And I went to like the Savage Lands page and I was like looking at all the different plants and they're like, this plant does this, but if you brew it wrong, it does this and kills you. And, you know, so I'm still using it even today. So
Makes sense.
yeah. It's a very good book. I really hope they can print something similar in the near future because everyone's clamoring for some sort of like official book.
We need more lore.
No matter what.
We need more. We need another. We need lore book version or volume 2.
Volume 2.
Yep.
Yeah. Especially like
that's perfect. I mean, you answered like a lot of those questions.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's all good. Okay. I got a curious question for you. This is more just speculative or just more imaginative, if anything. because I always wonder, is this game? We have our first lore book, and it goes over the world of Wrath, and like, we get all these heroes, the original heroes, that is. And we get a lot of the classes too, even some classes we haven't even explored yet. And that's kind of the nice little juicy parts of that book, is that there's a lot that hasn't even been talked about. Do you think that there is the possibility, chance that we go to a different world with this game? We have the world of Wraith, but then maybe Lore Book Volume 2 is the world of Arcania or something, whatever the case. It's a terrible name, but you got to understand where I'm going at. I don't know. It seems like you're very like into the creative side of Flesh and Blood, and so I was curious, like, on that note, do you think there is like enough here in this world that it can just keep growing in little like bits and bits? Like, now we have this deathmatch arena that I don't remember being talked about before, but maybe it has. I haven't read the whole book, the lore book, that is. So maybe just adding new pieces to this world, or do you think that going to a new world is on the horizon? I'm just kind of curious.
Yeah, that is something I've pondered for a while. So it is said that for like the creation of like Wraith itself and like the early days of it, it says humans came from elsewhere to settle on Wraith, which implies that there's somewhere else in the world that's got humans.
Right.
Either that or another like realm or dimension, but I don't know if they would go that far, because they've very heavily based everything that we've got in Flesh and Blood so far on the core 8 regions. I mean, if you look on the card back, it has symbols for all of the 8 regions. So if they were to be like, well, actually there's another continent with these regions on it, it seems, I don't know, it just seems a bit odd that they wouldn't include them as well, So it's really hard to guess, because there's signs that point to, yes, there are other places within the world, but at the same time they've so heavily invested in Wraith, which realistically is just a continent, not necessarily a world. And like, we don't even know what's to the west of Wraith. Like, if you look at the map, it just cuts straight off. So I don't know. It's something they will have to delicately work through, because I don't think they want to go the route of like Magic the Gathering, where there's like multiple like planes of existence, because that can get really messy pretty quick, and it also lowers the stakes a lot. I find that's, not to go on too much of a tangent, but that's one of the things I had a problem with Magic, because I used to play Magic quite a bit, which is that these characters would go to a plane of existence, something would happen, and oh no, the plane's destroyed. Oh, well, anyway, let's go to this other plane, So, I really don't think they're going to do that. If they do introduce new areas, they will be like sub-regions where, I guess a little bit like the Deathmatch Arena. So my speculation is it lies somewhere between the crossroads of like the deserts of Volcor, the Badlands of the Savage Lands, and like the plains of Solana. Like, I feel like it's in the middle of those 3. So that's kind of like a sub region. So I think maybe we'll see like maybe a somewhat larger island off the shore of Wraith. That's kind of its own thing, but I don't know. You could really go in any direction when it comes to theories on this, because we just don't have enough. But I don't think there's too much more to this world, but if there is, I just don't know how they're going to sort of implement it cleanly, per se.
Yeah, cool. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
So one thing is, so as we're talking the lore, and you're talking about Magic, how this might be one of the downfalls is blowing up planes. What's a thing you think Flesh and Blood could do better for the lore? Like, what would be
That's a great question.
a thing that could be more impactful, if you have any of those thoughts?
I mean, aside from the obvious, more lore. Yeah, this is actually a question I had asked this on Twitter maybe about a month ago.
Yeah, that's kind of where I found it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, perfect.
Hijacking my questions. No, that's cool. This is. I asked that question specifically while I was in the process of applying to try and become a creative writer at LSS. because I just wanted to know the community sort of thoughts in general, because I hear bits and pieces jumping on Discord servers and whatnot. But one of the bigger things that I would agree with is I really want them to flesh out more of the in between. So obviously we've got the 8 major regions and kind of the central locations of those. So for Solana, it's the city of Solana. For Metrics, it's the city of Metrics. But like all the places in between, like for example, the Northern Realms is quite an important place. It's an area within the region of Solana that isn't the city itself, but it's like obviously to the north. And that's where like 3 very important characters come from. Lord Sutcliffe, Leviah, and Bolton all come from this place. And we don't know much about it other than the fact that like it's snowy and there's like nobles. So like I kind of want to know more about that. But I feel like just due to the amount that Flesh and Blood is trying to build in their world, it's going to take some time for them to really get to that point. I definitely think it's something they have in mind. It's just a matter of they have to finish doing the broad strokes before they can do the finer details. So that's probably the biggest thing I would say. And I guess in a similar vein, my next thing would be just elaborating a little bit more on the backstories of certain characters, and making sure that the events of each set are actually impacting the greater story at whole. For example, the story of Outsiders, there was a lot of spicy things in there. The fact that Arachne killed the Emperor, but he wasn't meant to, and that was contracted by L'Apocalypta, the cult. I wanted to know more about that, but that hasn't gone anywhere as of yet. And we also don't know why Katsu and Benji were in the pits. And they were a part of the set. So, you know, just small things like that, or like Dusk Till Dawn. We were told that these were the most important 12 hours of the Battle of the Monarchs, of the War of the Monarchs. And like, we don't even know the conclusion of it, or like what really happened. We just saw that Leviah is beginning to smash her way into Solana, and that's kind of where it left off. So, you know, I think in a couple years' time, when they've finished laying the full groundwork for everything within Wraith, we'll start to get this stuff done better. And it is hard for them because they are still a small team. They have just under 50 employees in total. So, you know, it's hard, but I think it is something they are aware of and they're going to address at some point soon. So just got to wait, really. So
that's good.
Totally. So then, thinking about lore and things that could be done better or whatever, we have a new set coming out, Heavy Hitters, and we have Kasai. Now, do you know much about any like speculation for what Heavy Hitters lore is going to be like, or Kasai's lore, or anything of that nature?
Yeah, this is the first time we've kind of had a set that we haven't really had a grasp on like existing lore. So we don't even have confirmation where the deathmatch arena is, or exactly why it's there and it's allowed, or who participates specifically. I mean, the only thing we really have to go on is Kasai herself. So for those that don't know, Kasai is the daughter of a general from Volcor, and he was taken out by one of his, I guess, competing generals. So Kasai had to flee Volcor and is now trying to seek revenge on this general that killed her father. So it seems, based on what her new card and some of the cards do, is she is literally trying to raise an army to then return and get her revenge, which would be quite interesting considering Volcor's kind of in a bit of a collapse at the moment. The Emperor died, and there's a massive rebellion trying to fill this power vacuum. I
mean, she fit right in with that story, you know?
Yeah, exactly. You know, she's kind of this third party coming in. Not, I mean, she's even said, or has been quoted on cards like Outland Skirmisher, Volkai, Drakai, it's all the same to me. She doesn't care about the politics. She just wants what she wants, you know, which is revenge. So that's pretty much all we know specifically. As I said earlier, I've got like a theory as to where the deathmatch arena might be, just based on the classes that are in there and some of the key artwork as well. We've seen like 3 groups of people. Some look Volcorian, some look Solanian, and some look like they're from the Savage Lands. So that's all we really know at the moment. So I guess in terms of like heroes, I did speculate some sort of Volcorian warrior, and then a guardian from Solana, and then probably just a brute from the Savage Land. So that was my pick. But yeah,
I want your opinion on this because I have a big brain theory that
sure.
that Valda is coming in, and that's just how it is. You can't talk me out of that. You can convince me more of it, but um, no. I think Valda will be here, and then me and Gabe are having an even bigger brain theory. With Kaio also being in the death match arena here. So, is there any claims to support those, or is there even any claims to deny those?
Yeah, I can definitely try, I guess, give legitimacy to your theory. So I guess the biggest one is
I just want to echo chamber. That's all.
I honestly do think KO is coming in heavy hitters as an adult hero card.
Okay.
The main thing is we got Kasai, who was from Crucible of War, and was a young hero. She's now coming back as a adult hero. KO was also in Crucible of War as a young hero. This set does have brutes in it. It's next to the Savage Lands, and based on where I think it is, it would be within the stomping grounds of where KO likes to roam, because he likes to roam the Badlands, which lie between the Savage Lands and Volcor. And that seems to be roughly where the Deathmatch Arena would be. So I don't know if character-wise he would care about the money, but fighting, definitely. And then as for Volda, I mean, Volda just seems like the type of person that's down for a scrap. The only thing I could see being a bit of an issue is the fact that she's all the way over in Aria, and the people of Aria tend to isolate themselves from the rest of the world.
That's true.
But I mean, the barrier between Aria and the rest of Wraith is sort of waning, and we've seen Bravo leave, and Lexi and Briar and Yorick, the Bard, as well. So it wouldn't be too much of a stretch, because I mean, the rest of the Aria crew is Old Him too. How could I forget Old Him? You crucify me. You know, they're all in Solana, so yeah, it's not too far of a stretch to say that Volta could have been like, hey, what's over here? And a fight, and I can earn money and buy drinks, you know, at the local tavern, getting fights. So
Score.
I mean, it'd be sick to see her get an adult hero card, because I think she's a pretty cool hero to play. So
yeah. All right, cool. That's what I needed to know. That's perfect. That actually makes me super excited. Like the fact that Kaio isn't just like, because that's how I took it. And me and Gabe took it like, hey, Kasai came from Crucible. She was the only young hero. Now she's still a hero. This would work perfect for the brute hand. But to now learn that it's probably in a good region for it too. That adds more bread. I love that.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm excited for that. There's a good opportunity for us. You know what I think we need though? I'm gonna say this right here, right now. It's a little bit of a hot take. It's not a hot take at all, but I want another bad guy hero. We get a lot of these good guy heroes. We got the two main baddies right now. Well, I guess we got Vincent as a recent, but I want another bad guy that's not working for the monastery. You know, maybe that doesn't work with demons. Just an overall bad guy. I love the heroes, but I want a villain.
I mean, it all comes down to perspective, really. I mean, some people could see some people could see Rhinar as a villain per se, because he's, you know, primal instincts, just killing whatever's in his way. Or maybe
he faced
like Arachne.
She's a good guy.
Maybe Arachne or like Uzuri and Riptide, because they're kind of they do very morally grey things. So you know, all down to perspective.
Well, Kasai killed for money as a sellsword, so I mean, you know, it's kind of where you put your morals on that one too. So, but she's definitely presented like the good guy here, getting her due justice here.
What would you guys personally like to see in the lore, and what characters would you like to see more of?
All right, Gabe, you lead the way here.
All right, what I want to see more in the lore. I definitely want to see more, just like kind of like the backstories, kind of like we could talk about. I think one thing I've always really thought was really cool was Nourishing Emptiness's art with the backdrop of like the hero's downfall. I want to see more things kind of like that scattered throughout artworks, and maybe even just like quotes and things from that nature. Because I think little Easter eggs. Easter eggs. That's what I want to see more of. I love Easter eggs. And so I'd love to see more things like that. If we had to go over like another hero with more lore, I don't know if there's necessarily any one particular. Shiana. I mean, I'm a sucker for Shiana. I'd love to see more Shiana. That's where I'll end it up there. Shiana, I need more Shiana.
Shiana's in an interesting spot
over to
at
you,
the
Eric.
So,
she kind of mind
She is.
controlled a little bit. It seems
Yep.
like
Mhm.
supposedly. I don't know. Yeah, I agree if you gave like having some add on to that for sure. For me, I like you. I played Magic, and I played way back when you would buy what was been called the Fat Pack, and you had like one box that has all the cards, and the other box has a book, and that's what got me into like reading fantasy novels. And so I really enjoyed all those, especially the older ones, the old Magic novels. That's what I want. I Flesh and Blood, bringing it back to the Flesh and Blood. Let's bring it back to like books. I would love a full on book, and like especially if it was written by just one person. Maybe that's you one day. I don't know, but like I would love just to like get a full on novel, and like just like because this game is already super hero centric, and it already connects you to a hero just by playing the hero. But I would love to be connected to a hero just by like reading the journey of that hero through a book. And yeah, so that's what I want as far as the lore goes. Yeah, I love fantasy is my favorite genre. I just take me on a journey and I'm there. So there's not one in particular that I'm like, oh, I want to do this. I would eat up anyone's journey at this point. I like the political struggles with that's going on right now in Volcor. I really do like those type of conflicts, and so I personally would like something around there. I want to know, what's I kind of want to. Fi is the least interesting hero for me to play in CC, but I am very interested in his lore wise, just because I kind of want to know where he ends up through it all. You know, we see Dromai on a pretty set path, and I kind of see a story arc coming for Fi, and I kind of want to know if he's, going to be like a savior, or if he's going to be a tyrant as well. Something happens. I don't know. But that part interests me. Which, yeah. So that's my answer.
Where can we find you if people want to hear more about your lore? They want to see you posting about things on other platforms. Where can we find everything that speaks you?
Pretty much the two main places would be YouTube and Twitter/X. I don't like calling it X. It's Twitter. DeadSummer Art, basically. If you look up DeadSummer Art on pretty much any social media platform, you'll find me there. I'm probably the most active realistically on Twitter, just posting random things. But in terms of content, it's pretty much all on my YouTube. I do have a TikTok, but I haven't really posted much on there. Who knows? I might post some more on there. We'll see. But yeah, pretty much just YouTube and Twitter. That's where you'll find me. Feel free to hit me up in the DMs.
Cool.
Doesn't matter who you are. I'm more than happy to talk lore. Yeah. I'm just a big nerd for this game, and I just love talking about it. So,
yes,
I'm with you. That's fun. That's awesome. Well, cool. I appreciate you coming out. I thank you for joining us on this episode. Gabe,
thank you.
I appreciate you holding down the ship, waking me up this morning. That was awesome. And thank you all too who stayed and listened. I appreciate y'all. This has been another fun episode. Until the next one, keep on fabbing, and we'll catch you then.